Hello Game Boys and Game Girls, I'm the Game Boy Guru and welcome to another pickups video. A long awaited and overdue pickups video, I would assume. I was originally planning on doing a video for October, November, December. I was going to record that in January and I was going to get that out in January. Then I missed January and then I missed February. Now it is March, and so this is going to be my October through February video. So it'll be more than usual in some ways, but anyway, I want to get this all out and show it off so I can make sure that I can shelve everything and get it all organized. So let's not waste a lot of time and let's dive right in. It's going to be random. I don't remember the full sequence of when I picked stuff up. It's just kind of going to be whatever I grab and whenever I got it. So let's dive in and we'll start with a couple of things I picked up semi-recently. These were from Walmart. They always have inexpensive games. You know, they got the glass case that has all the brand new games that are the full price, and then off to the side they have a shelf that just has other games that are less expensive and they're usually only about $20 or whatever. These were on sale and were less than that, so I decided to grab them, and that is Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection on the Switch, and also Pac-Man Museum, which has just a ton of Pac-Man games. Pac-Man, Super Pac-Man, Pac-and-Pal, Pac-Land, Pac-in-Time, Pac-Man Arrangement, Pac-Motos, Pac-Man Battle Royale, Pac-Man 256. So lots of different Pac-Man games. Sadly, no Miss Pac-Man, but that's okay. So anyway, I thought those would be pretty cool. Then let's see, a couple of games that I grabbed from Goodwill recently. I don't find too much at Goodwill these days, but occasionally I do get a deal or I find something. Expanding my Xbox collection with Rainbow Six Extraction. This is one of those dual releases that runs on the Xbox One and the Series X. Since I'm in between with the Xbox One X, I would imagine I'd be able to do 1440p with this release, and it'll still look pretty crispy. And this was a fun little find. This is a Far Cry 4 and 5 bundle, but as you can see, it is the PEGI version, so this is the European release, and of course it is playable in English, as it says there. I already have Far Cry 4 on PlayStation 4, but I don't have Far Cry 5, and again, since this is a 2-disc European collection, I thought it might be kind of a fun little pickup. I will go over a few things here. These are, somewhat sadly, the last games that I will ever pick up from the GameStop location that I used to frequent, because that store is now closed. And so now instead of 63 miles to the nearest GameStop, it's 70 miles to the nearest GameStop. And who knows how long that other store will be open. But we'll go ahead and go through these really quick. I already own this on a couple of consoles, but it was dirt cheap, so why not? And that is Watch Dogs for the Xbox One. Then we have Watch Dogs 2 for the Xbox One. And Watch Dogs Legion for the Xbox One. So now I have the trifecta on one console. I also, even though I've got this on the Switch, I know the performance is sometimes called into question, so I decided to go ahead and buy the Xbox One version of the Sega Genesis Classics Collection. Lots of good stuff in here. And, of course, I had to grab The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom on the Switch. And so that That's cool stuff. I'm looking forward to checking that out. Another time that I went to Goodwill recently, I picked up a couple more things. I got 3D Ultra Pinball Creep Night, which was a Sierra release. Not something that I could run on a modern PC without a lot of help, but I do have a retro PC that I would like to get running and hooked up at some point so I could mess with that. Also picked up Star Wars Battlefront on the PS4. I know that it's a very short single-player campaign, and most of the content is multiplayer. I'm not a multiplayer guy, and I don't have PSN, but because I bought this secondhand and it was dirt cheap, it'll probably be worth going through the short single-player campaign. And I also found a copy of Dragon Age Inquisition. And so now I've got all of the PS3 360 era stuff and this on PS4. Let's see. I went on a trip in the fall to go see a concert, and there's a pair of music stores where I went that have great selection, tons of CDs and stuff, but they also have video games. And I happened to find one there that I didn't own, a Wii U game, which that list is becoming short these days, and it was also still in the plastic. And that is Family Party 30 Great Games Obstacle Arcade. And so this one, I don't remember ever seeing before. I'm going to probably leave it in the plastic because honestly, I have no need to play this. But it was kind of cool that I found it still in the plastic. And again, it's a Wii U game I didn't own, so might as well go for it. More Goodwill goodness. I found a few things at one of my Goodwill locations. I hit A Bug's Life for original PlayStation, along with Rugrats in Paris, the movie, and a really nice copy of Gran Turismo 2, which I was surprised that I didn't own, but I guess maybe I've never seen it complete, or where the discs aren't shredded. And this copy is actually, I won't say minty, because that's annoying when people say that, but it is very clean. It looks very well taken care of, or barely used. So that was a no-brainer. Also found the Crash Super Pack, which has Crash Nitro Kart and Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex. Fun little dual pack there for original Xbox. And Charlie and the Chocolate Factory for Xbox, based, of course, on the more recent, I say, but of course, this was from 2005, so 20 years ago. My goodness, I'm old. The more recent Johnny Depp movie covering this story. A couple of, before I get to more games, a couple of accessories that I picked up recently. I finally ponied up for some tempered glass screen protectors for my Switch OLED. I've had a protector on my OG Switch, my launch Switch, for years, but I've had my OLED Switch now for about a year and a half, I guess. I mean, I pre-ordered it before the, because it's the Tears of the Kingdom Switch. So we're coming up on 2 years, and I've been living dangerously with no screen protector, so I decided to finally grab that. I also grabbed these. 3 different HD Retrovision cables. This is the Sega Genesis Model 2 version. And I did this so that I could consolidate some console stuff in my setup. The other item that I bought, which I'm not going to show off, but I'll tell you about, is the what's called the G-Comp switch. It is a powered component video switcher that is automatic. It has 8 inputs and it has 2 outputs. And I wanted to do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, I wanted to consolidate as much stuff to component as possible. These all use a YPBPR output, and then HD Retrovision makes adapters so that you can use the Genesis Model 2 cable with other consoles. I already had the Genesis Model 2 console with the adapter that works with the Model 1 Genesis, and so that's already a thing. And I bought adapters to make sure that I could use these cables with the Neo Geo CD, the original PlayStation, and the Sega Saturn. And then I also own HD Retrovision component cables for Super Nintendo and for Dreamcast, along with official component cables for the Wii, PS2, and the Zedusa adapter that I showed off a while back for my original Xbox. So I'm trying to get as many items to component as I can, because as of this morning in the mail, I got the longer component cable that I need to be able to power a CRT from my setup. See, I've got my TVs set up against the wall. I've got the one on a big stand, and then I've got the other one set up tate with on this kind of rolling stand. And then to the left of my TVs, I have a large wire rack with all my consoles. And everything there is hooked up, and I've got that G-Comp switch in that setup with all the component consoles surrounding it. And the idea is I've got one output going into my RetroTink 4K, and then the other output I'm going to use to power to output to a CRT that I will have on a rolling cart setup that I built, that will allow me to then, while I'm streaming, play the games on the CRT, the retro games from the consoles that output it, but then also have all of that go to the capture setup as well. So I can choose to play on CRT or the big screen, and I can have them both going at the same time, and then also have all the capture stuff so that I can stream those games. Very exciting stuff. And so I'm looking forward to finally having that set up. Now that that cable came in the mail today, the only thing I'm missing now with my rolling cart setup is a keyboard and mouse tray that I want to attach to it, which will make that fully useful, and I'll be able to replace the kind of wooden folding table that I have for my keyboard and mouse now with that setup, and be able to utilize that in that manner. I bought a keyboard tray, but my measurements were off, and the mounting hardware for that tray, even though the tray itself would fit on the cart, the mounting hardware sits out too far and won't actually mount to the cart itself. So I got to come up with another solution, and I've got a couple of ideas. I just need to order a different keyboard tray. Thankfully, the keyboard tray that I did order is not a burned investment. I'm actually going to use it in my home office, and I've got it set up now. And so that'll be nice to be able to still use that. But I'm looking forward to being able to do that. So that's what the HD Retrovision cables were for, and I've already been making use of those. Let's see. The other accessory that I recently bought is this 8-bit-do receiver for the Sega Saturn. Most of the time when I'm playing on the Saturn, I'm playing shmups, or I'm playing something that is arcadey and would make sense to use my arcade stick with my Brook Wingman SD adapter. But some games just feel better with a regular controller. And so with this 8-bit-do receiver, I'm going to be able to use the 8-bit-do M30, which feels vaguely like a Sega Saturn 6-button Sega Genesis controller, and has good compatibility with the system. In fact, it mentions it here on the back, M30. And so I'll be able to use I'll be able to use the 8BitDo M30 for any games that I'm just not feeling on arcade stick, or if I want to do something different and not pull out the stick and hook it up with a cable stretched across the floor. This will give me the ability to do that wirelessly, and this thing works pretty slick. I like it, so I'm definitely glad to have that in my arsenal. Moving on now to some fun, fancy stuff that I've picked up somewhat recently. Or I won't say fancy. Well, before we do that, let's get to some other games that I picked up. I went to another concert somewhat recently and stopped at a game store that I like to hit when I'm in that city, and managed to pick up a few things I didn't own. I got Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat 2 on Game Boy. I already own the individual carts, but the combo cart I did not yet own, and that was one that I was looking for. One that I was surprised I didn't own is HAL Wrestling. I'm a little surprised that I didn't own it, because I see it in the wild periodically, but for whatever reason I just hadn't picked it up. And similarly, I was surprised that I didn't own Track Meet. So when I saw that, I was like, do I have that? And I went and looked through my listings, and sure enough, I didn't, so picked it up. And for Game Boy Color, I got Montezuma's Return. As I've mentioned before, I'm a fan of the original Montezuma's Revenge. Grew up playing the DOS version of the game, and I backed the NES re-release, which is right over here on my shelf. Right here. Don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, but anyway, Montezuma's Return. So I thought that was pretty cool. And finally, at that store, I picked up a complete in-box copy of Castle of Illusion. And I won't go ahead and cover the price sticker, because honestly, it's not bad. And I'm not ashamed to show off what I paid. But years ago, at another game store, which is sadly now defunct, I picked up a cartridge-only copy of Castle of Illusion, but I didn't look at it closely, and I didn't notice until after I paid for it and was out of the store that it was in fact a PAL copy, and I would not be able to play it. But I still thought it was cool that I owned a copy. Now, I actually have a complete copy of this game that I can pop into my Model 1 original Sonic the Hedgehog Sega Genesis and play. So I am looking forward to giving this a go. Now on to the more fancy stuff, the newer stuff that I picked up. Let's start with this from Limited Run Games. This is Astro Ninja Man DX. And of course, this is the retro collection. This game came out from Ricky. It was a Famicom release, and Limited Run licensed it for a North American NES release. And so it actually got a full NES cartridge print. Let's see if I can break into the plastic here without tearing something up, other than the plastic on the outside. And so this is a nice little collector box. I'm not sure how... let me see here. It's just got this slip cover, and then this sort of generic box here, which I guess is a way for them to save on packaging, because they can order these things in bulk and then be able to do this more economically. So here we have our Astro Ninja Man NES box. And it says Man or Astro Ninja Man on the back there. So let's see here. Once again, let's see if I can find a way to break the plastic without cutting into the into the box. It's going to be a challenge. Here we go. Perfect. Okay. I do appreciate the limited run emblem there in the bottom that sort of looks like vaguely like the Nintendo seal of quality that you used to see on NES boxes. Always a fun little detail like that. So here we have our cartridge. There is a nice little foam insert in the bottom so that the box is uniform like the original retail boxes. You have your limited run cartridge sleeve that of course looks like a Nintendo sleeve. You have your instruction manual, of course, and as with all these limited run manuals, it is full color, although in this case it's a lot of red, so it's all shades of red. I'm not sure what you call that. You know, it's when it's black and white and then shades of gray, it's monochrome. Would this be bichrome? Or yeah, I'm not sure how you would say that. And then, of course, you have the cartridge itself, which is this nice little opaque red cartridge. So that's pretty cool. But, of course, being the nerd that I am, I had to go with the limited edition, which comes with the extra feelies. And so you've got this behind-the-scenes booklet, which has some information from the developer. Ooh, check it out. Power Strike 2. Nice. And yeah, some cool information about the Famicom and development hardware. So he mentions with the MMC3 chip. Nice. And some cool stuff there about the involvement with the arcade, because the I can't remember what the name of this game was, but one of Ricky's games actually got an Exa Arcadia release. Kira Kira Star Knight, that's the name of it. And so, anyway, it's pretty cool stuff. There's also this little, I don't know what you call it, I guess this little stand-up thing. Not 100% sure what that's about. Let me pull this out. You've got this fun little pin with the globe that you can see in the game. Oh yes, this is probably to be as a backdrop for the little when you're fully powered up and you've got your Astro Ninja Man and then your Astro Ninja Man clones or shadows with extra firepower. So that's probably what that's supposed to be. There is also this certificate of authenticity. I have edition 247, it says. That's pretty cool. Nice little, actually weighty card. And put that back for the moment. And of course, you can't not have a limited edition without the soundtrack. This says music and data. So I'm not 100% sure what that implies. But let's take a look here. Maybe there's actually, maybe it's a enhanced CD, so to speak, with music tracks, but then also you know, backgrounds or something else on the CD, so it's not just the music. Yeah, so here's the front and back. It's a little hard to read, but it does have a track list. 22 tracks. And then there's the disc itself. So of course that will be going over to the home office next door for me to rip on the computer, put on my media server, and then go on the shelf with the rest of the CD collection. So anyway, that is Astro Ninja Man DX. And actually, I think what I'm going to do is probably put this box with the slipcover will go up somewhere on the shelf for display. I'll have to figure out where. But I think this I'll put up over here with the rest of my NES cards. In fact, no, I'll do that. I'll do that later. But anyway, Astro Ninja Man DX for the NES. Pretty cool little game. And should be fun to mess with. Another recent purchase, actually not so recent purchase, but recent arrival, is these guys. These took a long time to get here, and which is unusual for the publisher. Most of the time when you buy stuff from them, it comes pretty quickly. But in this instance, it took a long time, and that is Shinorubi from Red Art Games. Most of the time, Red Art Games, they announce something, you order it, and you have it within a few weeks, if not a few short months. But this one was a long wait for some reason. I don't exactly know why, but this is the quote-unquote deluxe edition, which is just a PS4 release with a slipcover. Not anything too exciting, but it was basically the bog standard PS4 version of the game. I'll have to make sure that I hold on to this. I'm such a nerd, I always like to cut these things out and put it in the box so I have it. But yeah, there is the PS4 version. Take off the slipcover and you can see the difference between the slipcover and the regular key art. And as with all of these releases, actually, this one comes with a poster. That's pretty cool. Let's have a look at this. A lot of times the Red Art releases don't always come with something. Okay, so there you go. You've got your primary villain, and then you've got all your different pilots that you can play as during the game. So that's pretty cool. And then on this side, it's just an advertisement, but some cool stuff here. Surfstar, good stuff. So that's fun to have as a part of the package. And then, of course, the game disc itself. And so that is the PS4 release. But, as you all know, I'm too big of a nerd to stop there. So I had to buy the Switch version. And, of course, because the Switch version released as a special edition, or the pink edition, as it says here, I had to go for that. Let me see if I can open the plastic without breaking out the box cutter. And so there you have the pink edition of Shinorubi on the Nintendo Switch. Sitting very much in a Super NES style and sized box. This also has a poster, but it looks like it is a different poster. Yeah, it's a different poster than the PS4 version. This one just has the main villain on the front and back. But, of course, it is the same base artwork here on both sides that was used for both the standard cover and the slipcover on the PS4. Of course, you've got your standard cover here, and you've got your slipcover art that's now on this steelbook, along with the other bosses in the game. That's pretty cool. Very nice steelbook. I might put everything in there. I'll go ahead and open up the regular Switch version packaging here so you can see what we've got going on. So here we have just the standard Switch box. Oh, interesting. No manual here, but there is a little card with a promo code that I'm not going to show off so that I can use that later. But this is some kind of disclaimer about, looks like it's in French. Yeah, some sort of disclaimer about 1996 tariff something or other. And then inside, as with that other poster in the PS4 release, there you got your pilots, and of course the Switch card itself. So pretty nifty. And again, what would a collector's edition be without the CD soundtrack? And I do rather enjoy the music in the game. I thought it was pretty solid. I know opinions on the game itself are rather mixed, but I feel like the soundtrack is at least a bright spot. Even if the game itself might be flawed, we'll say. But I did enjoy what I played when I was originally messing around with it on PC. This is 17 tracks. And so once again, looking forward to putting that on the media server and ripping that to the computer. So, Shino Ruby, Pink Edition, Nintendo Switch. Oh, it also came with this lanyard that has the Shino Ruby logo all over it, and these and this little standee of the main villain. Several collector's editions have come with these lately, and so I might have to see if I can find a place for this somewhere. I've got a Darius Burst standee and a couple of others that are around the game room here. It's getting a little bit hard to find locations for some of this stuff. But, whoops. See if I can, oh wait a minute, there is a little cover thing here, isn't there? Yep. Pull this other side off. Oh wait, is that supposed to come off? Yeah, okay. I'm good. Yeah, there we go. Okay. now we will, I suppose you could insert the tab here at the bottom either way. You could do it like that or like that. So I guess it doesn't matter which side you use. But yeah, so I'll have to find a place for that somewhere. Anyway, once again, that is Shino Ruby Pink Edition. Set that aside for the moment. Not sure what I'm going to do with that lanyard, but figure that out. These are handy though. These I'll probably save because they can be great for packaging things to send. Let's see here. Let's do a couple of things I got in the mail from a buddy who was paring down some of his collection and wanted to get rid of some of his TurboGrafx and PC Engine CD stuff. So I reaped the rewards on that and picked up a few things. On the PC Engine CD-ROM, I got Eldis, fun little cute 'em up from Masaya. Also got the PC Engine CD-ROM version of Cotton. I already own a bootleg copy of this, but it's nice to have an original. I got Star Perogier, and even though I've already covered this game on my podcast, this is such a cool game that it's awesome to have a legit copy. Looks like maybe this booklet is not in there quite right. So yeah, very cool. I got the CD-ROM version of Sidearms Special, which is great. I already own the North American TurboGrafx version of Sidearms, and so it'll be fun to be able to compare. And on the TurboGrafx CD side, I got Monster Lair, aka Wonder Boy in Monster Lair, but this sort of drops the Wonder Boy title and just focuses on the Monster Lair. This is a sort of auto-scrolling run and gun / shmup, because there are some stages where you're on foot and you're jumping, but the screen is constantly scrolling and you're shooting enemies. And then there are full-on shmup stages where you're riding on some kind of dragon or whatever. And so yeah, anyway, one that I had wanted for a while. Now let's move on to another item that I got in the mail very recently, and that is the very recently released from Einen Games X-Out Resurfaced. Of course, you got their postcard they always like to send, and the game itself here. See if I can find a place to break into the plastic. So we've got a slip cover here. Go ahead and cinch that off. And then just the basic Einen box. I assume again that this is a money-saving measure so that they can just sort of print these smaller boxes and then make them a little bit more uniform. We've got this art book here, history art book, which is pretty slick. Looks nice. Remember back in 2019 when aliens invaded the Earth? No? Yeah, since the game was released, since the original version of X-Out was released in 1990, of course, that was the plot. And so it's funny how many of the games that I grew up playing that referenced 20XX or you know, the year 20 whatever. Now that I'm older, many of those games are now historical fiction. And so, anyway, you got some information here about the game, some different screenshots, boss tactics, it says, how to fight the different bosses. Yeah, some nice pixel art stuff going on here. This is it's a good looking game, that's for sure. I think the original Amiga version was good looking as well. But yeah, lots of cool stage art and designs. Very cool boss design right there. So that'll be fun to peruse. Then of course you have the game itself. And I rather appreciate that Einen is not making us wait years to get this stuff, but is commissioning and putting these things out in very short order. So we have a little, I'm not sure why they did this, but there's this little card here that has X out. Maybe that's so that you can see that there are other editions available. And then, of course, advertisement for other games. And then your little, not a manual so much, but just a little control card. So at least you've got something there. And then the game and inlay art there. And again, I gotta have my CD soundtrack with my limited editions. It's just the way it is. This is the original soundtrack from Chris Hulsbeck, legendary composer from the C64 and Amiga era. 24 tracks on this. So again, this is going to go right into the home office next door and be ripped to the media server so that I can get that in the queue to listen to. X Out resurfaced for the Nintendo Switch, the retooled version of the original Amiga game. The 35th anniversary edition, as it says here. Oops. Forgot to close this little flap there. Gotta be smarter than the packaging. All right. Now let's end the this portion of it with this book that I should have bought a long time ago but didn't, and that is the complete official guide expanded edition for The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Sadly, I've already devalued it. After I got it out of the box and held it up to take a look at it, my Butterfingers decided to drop the book, and I've already banged up the top, which is very frustrating. But at the end of the day, they are just things, and we have to live with that. But yeah, I kind of banged that up. So yeah, this is you all know I'm a huge fan of Breath of the Wild. I've gushed about that quite a bit, and so this is just something that I wanted to make sure that I had to be able to complement my Breath of the Wild experience. I've already played through the game a bunch of times, and as I record this today, I'm going to be starting my my 10th run through the game very shortly. Oh yeah, there's the actual back. This is just the little card here. That'll go actually inside. Oh, look at this. Oh, this is cool. You got this in the very back. You've got this Lionel design, Link and the Lionel. But then you have this Hyrule navigation map. This is neat. All right, so you've got this map with all these different things on it, and on the other side, you also have a smaller version of the map with a bunch of different things. This is cool. I love the fact that it shows off all these shrine locations. I typically use an app when I play, so that if I forgot where a shrine location is, I can easily just look it up and, find it quickly so that I can finish up a playthrough. But it's nice to have this as an option. So yeah, lots of cool artwork and information in here. A lot of this I know already, but it's still cool to be able to have. Oh, look at this, a material list that has all sorts of food and information in it. Ah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, this is going to be fun to kind of pour over and go through. So the complete official guide expanded edition of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, warts and all. This next thing that I got was not something I got in the mail. It was something I found at a game store, something I've been wanting for a very long time, but didn't necessarily feel like I could justify the cost. And so I've held off on buying this thing for years and years and years. Something that I don't know, I've just wanted it for a long time. And when I show it off, those of you who have watched my channel for any measure of time will understand. But I finally decided after Christmas and after getting some money from family from Christmas and feeling like I could, not that I could justify the cost, but that I could say, you know what, I'm not putting myself in any financial risk or harm by spending more money than I needed to on a game. And so I finally picked up a copy of Radiant Silvergun for the Sega Saturn. This is one that I have wanted for a very long time. Even as far back as the late 90s, when I knew that this was out, and when I had a Sega Saturn, even then, copies of this game were expensive. And by the time I found out about it, it was not widely available, and it was something that was already expensive when I began to collect for the Saturn. In hindsight, it probably would have been better for me to purchase a complete copy at that point. This does not have the spine card. I'm okay with that. It's not that big of a deal, but it's one that I've wanted for a long time. And so I finally own a legitimate copy of Radiant Silvergun for the Sega Saturn. Of course, I have the Switch limited edition re-release that came out a year or so ago, but this is the genuine article that I wanted to have in my hands, and I am glad that I finally did. Before I move on to the last thing, I want to show off something that is new to me, but it's not new at all. In fact, it's quite old. And in gaming terms, quite old can mean a lot of things, because when you're as old as I am, you can go back quite a ways. And of course, I grew up playing both the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Atari 2600 side by side, because to me it was all just fun video games. But this item predates even me. This is the National Semiconductor Adversary. And I'll try to show this off here. Because I've got this kind of set up. I've got the power supply here that I've got. But this is essentially a Pong clone, as you would expect from this era. I want to say this is 1975. And you basically take your controller here, and it's just a simple potentiometer inside, and you move the little lever back and forth to control the paddle on the screen. And there are multiple games, because it does have this game selection button here. Sadly, what I'm missing, I have the power supply, but what it didn't come with is a way to connect it. This connector here is rather corroded, so I don't think I'll be able to use it. But if I can get a Y adapter and at least get it into a coaxial state, then I'll be able to hook this up and play it. But this thing was filthy. It was absolutely gross. I spent some time cleaning it and going over it. It's still pretty messy, but it's not. At least I don't feel like I'm going to get some communicable disease by holding it in my hands. But the story about how I came across this is kind of neat. My brother is an HVAC technician, and so he does all sorts of air conditioning and heating system removal, replacement, repair, etc. He was doing work for someone in our hometown and came across this in the guy's basement when he was down there doing the work. And he took a picture of it on his phone and sent it to me and said, "Hey, look what I found," because he knew that this would pique my interest. And I was like, "I want it. Tell the guy I want it." And he was like, "Okay. Like, how much should I say?" And I was like, "Well, let me look on eBay and see how much they're going for." And at the time, these were going for around $20. And so I was like, "Well, tell him I'll give him $20. But there was a sticker here. You can see the residue. There was a sticker on here that said 25 cents because he had tried to sell it on a garage sale and had failed. Not surprising in our local hometown market, because the demand for something like this is exceedingly low. But my brother talked to the guy, and the guy was like, "Well, I tried to sell it on the garage sale and it didn't sell. You can just have it." And so I got this very old, interesting Pong clone console for free. The National Semiconductor Adversary. So anyway, like I said, I don't have the Y adapter for it, so I have not been able to hook this up and test it yet. I do have a couple of CRTs I can hook it up to and play. I would like to do that at some point, but for now, at least, this is, what I have to work with. But this is pretty cool. I'm stoked to have this, and it's a fun piece that will complement a couple of the other older bits in my collection that are a little harder to come by these days, a little harder to come across in the wild. The final thing that I want to show off is actually a lot of things, but it is a box full of games. I bought a large lot from Facebook Marketplace, and this large lot is a whole bunch of Japanese import games. And so it's kind of a mishmash of different things for different consoles. There's some Famicom stuff, like this Mahjong game. And you can just see, simple Nintendo Mahjong 1983. That might have been a launch title. I'd have to double check, but very simple there. There's also this baseball game from Namcot. This baseball game, something 92 from 1991 and 86. And actually, this might be Bases Loaded, or what was Bases Loaded. I have to double check. I don't remember right off the top of my head. Some Famicom games there, and then another one of these Famicom baseball games. Of course, these are not the original boxes that these came in. Well, maybe they are, because this actually says Namcot on the plastic here. So maybe they are original. These are pretty cool either way. I'm not a big baseball fan, and this is not the kind of thing that I would put a lot of time into, but it is kind of neat to have these in the collection and be able to say that you own stuff like this. Especially when they're complete like that. There are also some Nintendo DS games and one 3DS game. I do not know what this is. It looks like an Animal Crossing related game of some kind. But maybe not. No, it's not Animal Crossing. Bandai Namco. I'm not sure what this is, but it's kind of neat anyway that I have at least one Japanese 3DS game in my collection. I can't play it because I don't own a Japanese 3DS. At least I can't play it legitimately. I suppose I could mod my 2DS that I have and play a download of it, but not actually the cartridge. At least I don't think you can play foreign games with a soft modded system. Let's see what else we've got here for the DS. We've got quite a few things here. We've got Monster Hunter 4 for the DS. There's this, not entirely sure what this is. Something educational. This looks like a cooking recipe deal. Random. Nintendogs. Japanese version of Nintendogs, so that's kind of funny. And then another Nintendogs game. Again, I'm not sure what this is. So I kind of have like I said, a very random assortment here. Looks like a music game of some sort. I see some Taiko no Tatsujin stuff here, so various mini games and whatnot. No idea what this is. I haven't actually gone through with Google Translate or Google Lens and sorted out what all these are. And then another cooking or food related game there. Interesting stuff. Probably not stuff that I would ever play, with the possible exception of Monster Hunter or the Nintendogs. I might mess with those. Got a handful of original PlayStation games. This Hudson game here. Not 100% sure what this is. PlayStation The Best for Family. And this case is pretty goofy. It's also broken, but yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that. Let's see what else. There's this Gran Turismo Japanese release for the PlayStation. That's pretty cool. Set these over here. There's also a couple of things here. There's the original Tekken, which is pretty cool. I have the long box of Tekken, but cool to have the Japanese version. Then there is this Super Sentai game of some kind. Not 100% sure what character that is off the top of my head. And then J-League Winning 11, which was a pretty big soccer franchise for a hot minute before FIFA kind of came in and became the soccer game. So yeah, pretty cool. The main reason, however, that I bought this batch of Japanese games was because I wanted the majority of the other stuff that I found in here, which is Sega Saturn games. There is a whole mess of Sega Saturn games in here. Just a random assortment of things. And so we've got some SD Gundam, we've got Virtua Fighter Kids, we've got Virtua Fighter Remix. I don't know what this is. But it's 3 discs. And it looks like maybe some kind of music thing. Enemy Zero, which is cool. This will be a fun one to mess with. Not 100% sure what this one is. Looks like a... Oh, this is a Puyo Puyo game. Yeah, Puyo Puyo Sun, it says. Yeah. So that's cool. There's this Wizards Harmony from Arc System Works. Looks like a... Not sure. Not sure if that's a visual novel or exactly what that is. We've got All Japan Pro Wrestling. Densya de Go with the spine card. Not really my jam, but kind of neat anyway to sort of have that available. This is very anime. I'm not 100% sure what this is. We also have this Sword and Sorcery Sega Saturn Collection. Looks like an RPG of some kind. And then this, again, I'm not 100% sure on many of these. Oh, this is a Evangelion game of some kind, looks like. Yeah, I think that's what this is. But I'm not done. I've got Tokimeki Memorial Taisen. We've got this J-League official TV game, Sakatsuku 2. Mobile Suit Gundam. Fighting Vipers, which I already own the Japanese version of this, but of course it was included with the box. Aquazone Desktop Life. J-League, what is it? J-League Jikyo Hondo no Striker. So another J-League soccer game. This is an Atlas game. Not 100% sure what this one is. I'll have to check into that. DX Nippon Tokyo Ryoko game. Looks like kind of a traveling themed game of some kind. I've seen this cover before. This is a Hudson game, but I'm not 100% sure what this is. This is the Conveni. Again, I don't quite know what genre this is, but still, it's kind of neat to have this. Here's another Evangelion game, Neon Genesis Evangelion. Steam Radio Show. Looks like probably a Japanese idol kind of thing. Sakura Wars 2. We've got Sakura Wars. Make sure that my discs aren't floating around here. Looks like maybe that case is broken. We have One Chai Connection. This one I was particularly excited about. Grandia, the Sega Saturn version of Grandia. And Spine Card, hello. Very cool to have a copy of that with cigarette stains and all. There's also D, which did get a release over here, but cool to have that one. Virtua Fighter 2, which I have the US version already. Rig Lord Saga. Looks like another RPG of sorts. Virtua Fighter. So now I think I have every version of Virtua Fighter for the Sega Saturn, because I've got Virtua Fighter, Virtua Fighter Remix, Virtua Fighter Kids, and Virtua Fighter 2. Evangelion Second Impression. Fighters Mega Mix, which I already had the Japanese version of. Gun Griffin, the Eurasian Conflict. And Mobile Suit Gundam. Looks like a strategy game. So again, not a ton of games in here I'm going to play, but cool that, you know, I was able to buy this random box of Japanese imports and have all of these interesting and different games, many of which are not really games that I would actively play, but a few that I will. And so, yeah, it's just kind of neat to have this stuff and be able to grab this stuff and be able to, I don't know, just own some stuff that would normally be out of my wheelhouse, but is kind of fun, regardless. Anyway, what do you think? Of all the stuff that I picked up here today, what would be the first thing that you would play? Would it be Radiant Silvergun for the Sega Saturn? Would it be Astro Ninja Man DX or these PC Engine CD games? Have you played Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse? And do you enjoy it? Yeah, let me know in the comments below, and let's discuss. If you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing so that you can see more of my videos in your YouTube feed. And as always, thanks for watching, thanks for playing, and game on.